Welcome to the AI Memoirs. My name is Rick, and today we're sitting down with the man, the myth, the legend, John Henry Doc Holliday, dentist, gambler, and gunfighter of the Wild West. Doc, thanks for joining us.
Pleasure's mine, Rick. Though I reckon I'm most remembered for my friendship with Wyatt Earp.
We'll get there, Doc, but let's start at the beginning. You were born in Georgia, right? Tell us about your childhood.
I was born August 14, 1851 in Griffin, Georgia. Nice little town, oaks, cicadas, the whole southern charm. My father, Henry, was a planter and pharmacist, fought in the Mexican War. My mother, Alice, she was the heart of it all. Taught me manners, how to carry myself like a gentleman.
She had consumption, though, tuberculosis. Her cough, it haunted me. She passed when I was 15, and I ain't been the same since.
That's rough, Doc. Losing your mom so young must have shaped you. How'd you go from that to becoming a dentist?
Well, I was sharp enough to get into the Pennsylvania College of Dental Surgery. Graduated in '72 and set up a shop in Atlanta.
Thought I'd be pulling teeth for a living, wearing a fancy vest, you know? But then I started coughing, same as Mama. Doc said I had a few years tops, so I packed up and headed west. Dry air, they said, better for the lungs. Didn't much help.
Doc's diagnosis at 21 changed everything. Tuberculosis was a death sentence back then, and it pushed him into a life he'd never planned. So, Doc, you head west and land in Dallas, Texas. How does a dentist end up a gambler and gunfighter?
Dallas was lively, but folks didn't trust a coughing dentist. I needed coin, so I turned to cards. Faro, poker, I could read a man's eyes better than a book. Made a living, but it came with trouble. Men don't like losing, especially to a smart-mouthed Southerner. First time I drew a pistol was over a card game. Fella pulled a knife, I pulled iron. I said, "I'm your huckleberry, say when." He didn't walk away.
That's wild. Guessing you had to leave town. I think I know where you went, and you met someone special there.
I eventually relocated to Fort Griffin. That is where I met Big Nose Kate, a Hungarian firecracker. She was a dance hall gal, tough as nails, with a temper to match mine. We'd fight, make up, fight again, like a wildfire. She stuck by me, even when I was half dead from the coughing or dodging bullets. Loyal as they come, though I wasn't always kind to her.
Sounds like a fiery love story. Let's talk about the man who changed your life, Wyatt Earp. How'd you two connect?
Wyatt Earp. Met him in Fort Griffin, Texas. I was in the Beehive Saloon, dealing cards, when we got to talking.
The owner of the saloon, John Shancy, suggested Wyatt speak to me about Dirty Dave Rudabaugh. Wyatt was a lawman, cool as ice, with a way of seeing through folks. We clicked. He saw I was loyal, maybe saw a man who didn't care if he died. He'd call, I'd come, simple as that.
In fact, you end up following Wyatt to Dodge City, Kansas. What can you tell us about that adventure?
Fort Griffin was losing its allure, so Kate and I decided to visit Wyatt in Dodge City, Kansas. I sought to practice dentistry again and ran an advertisement in the local paper.
But dentistry wasn't in the cards, and Doc returned to playing cards, which ended up perhaps saving Wyatt's life.
I was playing cards in a room at the Long Branch Saloon when some cowboys begun harassing the customers. Wyatt burst through the front door, but before he could react, the cowboys were pointing their guns at him. I drew my pistol and put it at the leader of the cowboys' head, forcing him and his men to disarm. Now, some folks say it didn't happen that way, but it's a good story, and I'm sticking to it. It was time to get the hell out of Dodge, so Kate and I left for Las Vegas, New Mexico. The Santa Fe Railroad built tracks to Las Vegas, New Mexico, but they bypassed the city by about a mile. So a new town was built up near the tracks, and gambling flourished there. I paid $372.50 to a carpenter to build a clapboard building to house the Doc Holliday saloon. The winters were harsh in New Mexico, so when Wyatt arrived in town in October 1879 and told me he was headed for the silver boom going on in Tombstone, Arizona territory, I told Kate to pack her bags.
We eventually arrived in Prescott, Arizona, where Virgil Earp and his wife Allie lived.
Kate and I checked into a hotel. At some point, we got in a fight, and she left for Globe, Arizona. I stayed in Prescott for a while before joining the Earps in Tombstone in September 1880.
So you meet up with not just Wyatt, but his brothers, Virgil and Morgan Earp. What is Tombstone like at that time?
Tombstone was a silver boom town, but it was a powder keg. Wyatt and his brothers were keeping the peace, sort of. The Clantons and McClorys, a bunch of rustlers, wanted the town for themselves. Bad blood brewed for months. These rustlers, called themselves cowboys, had repeatedly threatened the Earps and myself.
Let's get to the big one, the gunfight at the OK Corral, October 26, 1881. Tell us what happened.
I believe it was in October of 1881, Virgil Earp, who was the city police chief and a deputy U.S. Marshal, received a report
That some cowboys were armed in violation of the city ordinance that required them to turn in their guns upon arriving in town.
Fearing trouble, Virgil deputized me, retrieved a coach gun, and we set out with Wyatt and Morgan to find the cowboys. As we walked down Fremont Street, we ran into Sheriff Behan, who claimed that he had disarmed the cowboys. Virgil decided it might be best if I carry the coach gun under my long coat, and so I handed him my walking stick. We found the cowboys in a lot on the side Fly's boarding house. I was staying at Fly's, so perhaps they were waiting there to kill me. The cowboys were armed, so Virgil ordered them to throw up their hands as we intended to disarm them. That's when all hell broke loose. Bullets were flying around everywhere, like bumblebees.
All right, I have to ask, who fired the first shot? Some folks say it was you. Tell us how it actually happened.
Well, I wasn't getting the drop on anyone holding a coach gun under my long coat, so no, I did not fire the first shot. The McClory brothers were in front of me, and I saw Tom McClory go for his gun. Well, I raised the coach gun and fired. The shotgun blast ended up hitting him in the side of his chest. Then a bullet grazed my hip, and Frank McClory shouts, "I've got you now." I replied, "You're a daisy if you do," and I shot him. The whole ordeal lasted a few seconds. When the dust settled, 3 cowboys were in the dirt, dying or dead. We walked away, but it marked us. Papers called it a massacre or a triumph, depending on the day.
That's intense, Doc. It didn't end there, did it? Things got darker after the gunfight. Tell us what happened next.
Virgil Earp was seriously wounded in an assassination attempt that left him with a permanently crippled left arm. In March of '82, Morgan was ambushed, shot dead as he was playing a low round of billiards at Hatch's billiard parlor. Broke Wyatt's heart. He went on a vendetta, and I rode with him. We hunted those cowards across Arizona, left a trail of bodies.
The Earp vendetta ride was brutal. Doc and Wyatt became outlaws. It cemented Doc's legend as a deadly, loyal friend. At the end of the vendetta ride, your health was failing by then, right? How'd you keep going?
Whiskey numbed the pain, cards paid the bills. Kate stuck around, off and on. I drifted Denver, Leadville, Glenwood Springs. Was hoping the hot springs might fix my lungs. They didn't. By '87, I was skin and bones, barely held a deck of cards.
And your final days, you've passed in Glenwood Springs, Colorado on November 8th, 1887. What was that like?
Died in a bed, not a gunfight. 36 years old in a sanatorium. Looked at my bare feet and thought, this is funny. Me, Doc Holliday. Going out quiet, no boots, no blaze of glory. I lived hard, loved fierce, fought for my friends. If there's a faro table upstairs, I'm dealing.
What an amazing life, Doc. Any last words for our viewers?
Live on your terms, but pick your fights wise, and never bet against a man who's got nothing to lose.
That's the story of Doc Holliday, dentist, gambler, gunfighter, legend. If you enjoyed today's tale, do us a favor, shoot to subscribe, spike a like, and leave a comment. You're a daisy if you do.